Hello everyone, this is Real World Techie. Today, in this video, let's learn few Docker essential commands in a more fun way relating to our favorite games like BGMI, Free Fire, and Call of Duty. Let's cross-check the scenarios which we would have done while playing the game, which is nothing but installing the game, launching the game, and closing the game, reopening the game, and adjusting the settings inside the gameplay. Here, we are correlating these scenarios with our Docker commands like docker run, docker start, docker stop, and docker execute. So let's get into these commands one by one so that we can easily correlate to those scenarios. Docker run. In docker run, we can understand or correlate to a new match or installing the new game or launching the game for the very first time or joining the new game, which is nothing but in simple terms, whenever the app is getting installed, it is nothing but a Docker build. If we have remembered, like whenever we install and when we are trying to launch the app, we would install all the packages required, right? It would ask for our packages, like you need a high resolution one or low resolution one. It is as similar as that. In simple terms of Docker, Docker is getting built whenever it's installing all the dependencies required. Here in the same way, when we are installing the game, we would require all the things need to run our game smoothly. And whenever we are launching the game for the first time, it would have done a Docker image build, right? So this is the reference where we are launching our image or the container to run smoothly, which is nothing but Docker run my game container. Like my game container can be replaced based on the name, app name. Docker start. Docker start is nothing but you would have already installed the game. Now you want to play the game again. Now, in terms of Docker reference, we would have installed all the dependencies and built a container. Now, for the meantime, we have closed that container to not to make use of that app. And whenever we want to reuse that app, we would make a Docker start, right? So that it can activate our Docker container and run the process in a smooth way. This is as similar as that, like whenever you're entering into the lobby, which is nothing but the game is already installed and you're going through that game again to play it. And the command would be docker start game one. Here, the Docker start says starting the Docker, and the game one is nothing but the name of our container. Docker stop. This is the scenario where we can correlate to closing the game. Like you have played for 1 hour or 2 hours and you are done playing the game. You would close the app, right? This is the same thing like what you have done within the Docker. And in this Docker stop, we would have all the changes saved. And similar to our game, whenever we are done with our match, it would have saved our all match histories, right? This is the spot where we can understand and correlate whenever we are closing app, which is nothing but we are stopping the Docker container to run our game. Docker execute. Docker execute is as similar as when we are running the game, we would have opened the game chat, we would have opened the voice, we would have opened the settings and adjusting the sensitivity. So this is as similar as that where we will use our Docker execute command. Whenever we launched our container, we will go into that container and make few changes within whenever it's required. So this is the correlation of changing the settings while playing the game versus changing few files or configurations in Docker container, which is already launched. So this is the scenario where we would execute our Docker execute command based on the image name, and bash sh would allow you to get into that container. So this is nothing but opening our settings in a game versus the opening our Docker container and seeing all the files configured in our container. In our next video, let's have a simple hands-on to run our Docker run, Docker start, Docker stop, and Docker execute. If this video made Docker easier to understand, give this video a like, subscribe for the more fun explanation. Thanks for watching.